Chosen one. Do not be quick to turn your back on the person who has been placed along your journey simply because they have wearied you or have not yet become the better version you hope to see. I am not saying that you must preserve every relationship at any cost. Nor am I asking you to accept insults, manipulation, or repeated harm. What I want you to understand is that some people enter your life not for you to possess, control, or repair, but so that you may learn to love with discernment. Stand beside them with compassion, and recognize when to offer support and when to step back in peace. Do not make a final decision from one moment of anger, one day of exhaustion, or one wound that has just been touched. Become still before closing a door. Because sometimes the person who disappoints you most is fighting a battle they do not yet have the words to explain. I see what you cannot see. I know that this person has sometimes spoken words that hurt you, avoided your care, or repeated mistakes that caused you to believe all your efforts were useless. Yet behind coldness, there may be a fear of abandonment. Behind anger, there may be a wound that has never been properly named. Behind indifference, there may be someone who has been disappointed so many times that they no longer dare to hope. This does not make harmful behavior right, but it helps you avoid turning a wounded person into an enemy too quickly. I have not called you to judge them from above, nor have I assigned you the task of transforming them through your own strength. I am only inviting you to become a presence filled with light, one who speaks truth without humiliating, cares without controlling, and forgives while still preserving necessary boundaries. There are times when you want to leave, not because you have considered everything in peace, but because your pride has been wounded. You want that person to recognize your value immediately. Return your love in the way you expect, and change according to the pace you have chosen. When this does not happen, you feel that your presence has been taken for granted. But, beloved, mature love does not demand that another person grow according to your schedule. A seed cannot be pulled from the soil in order to make it grow faster. It needs light, water, time, and the proper conditions. In the same way, a person may need many days to understand what you recognized in a single moment. You can remind, encourage, and lead by example, but you cannot force them to heal, make decisions on their behalf, or carry every consequence for them. Your perseverance has value, but their freedom must also be respected. Remember that your mission is not to become the one who rescues them from every difficulty. When you try to carry everything, you will quickly become exhausted, and the help you first offered will gradually turn into resentment. I do not want you to sacrifice your peace upon the altar of misplaced responsibility. You can remain beside someone without living their life for them. You can love them and still say no. You can forgive without restoring the same level of access they once had. You can desire their good while still leaving an unsafe environment. Compassion does not mean allowing another person to continually wound you. A lighthouse stands firmly to guide a ship. It does not throw itself into the sea and sink with the vessel that has lost its direction. Perhaps this person is a friend who has gradually withdrawn, a family member who has disappointed you many times, or someone who repeatedly appears in your life, even though you have tried to avoid them. Before concluding that they bring only trouble, ask yourself whether you can offer them an honest conversation. Sometimes they do not need a lecture, they only need someone willing to sit beside them and listen without interruption. Sometimes they need to be reminded that their mistakes are not the whole of their identity. At other times, they need to hear the clear truth that their present behavior is hurting those who love them. Love does not merely comfort. Love also possesses the courage to name what is wrong and invite the other person to step away from it. But those words must be spoken from peace, not from a desire to punish. I know you have tried many times and felt that nothing changed. You were patient, explained yourself, and opened your arms. Yet the other person still returned to the same path. In those moments, do not measure the value of kindness only by their immediate reaction. A word you speak today may not blossom tomorrow, but it may remain in their memory until they are mature enough to understand it. Yet you must also distinguish between patience and being trapped. Patience still allows you to live, grow, and preserve your dignity. Being trapped causes you to become smaller, more fearful, and dependent upon whether the other person changes. If a relationship leaves you unsafe, threatened, or continually diminished, seek trustworthy support and create the necessary distance. I will never require you to prove your faithfulness by enduring danger. Your presence may become an anchor, but you must be anchored in truth rather than illusion. Do not convince yourself that everything will improve while the other person refuses responsibility, disregards boundaries, and shows no meaningful action toward change. True hope always walks together with discernment. You may see potential within them, but do not fall in love with a version that exists only in your imagination while ignoring the person standing before you. Look at both the light and the shadow, the promises and the actions, the apologies and the correction that follows. I have given you a tender heart, but I have also given you watchful eyes. Do not sacrifice one gift in order to preserve the other. Sometimes, what this person needs most is not for you to do more, but for you to stop shielding them from the consequences of their own choices. When you continually rescue, excuse, or clean up every broken situation, they may never learn responsibility. In such moments, stepping back is not betrayal. It may be a form of mature love. You allow them to face what they have caused while keeping the door of honest conversation open if they truly desire change. I have not called you to become a cushion upon which someone falls forever. I have called you to illuminate the path, but they must decide whether they will walk upon it. Even so, do not allow one ugly moment to erase everything good that once existed. People can stumble, speak wrongly, and act from pain. If they sincerely admit their wrongdoing, respect your boundaries, and persistently change. Give restoration an opportunity. Broken trust cannot be rebuilt through promises alone, but it can be restored through small, consistent, and sincere actions. You do not have to forget everything in order to forgive. You only need to stop allowing pain to govern every decision. True restoration does not return two people to the exact place where they once stood. It leads them into a new place where truth is honored more deeply. Communication is clearer, and love is no longer joined with blindness. Beloved, before releasing someone, make sure you are not acting only from temporary exhaustion, wounded pride, or the persuasion of people who do not understand the story. But before continuing to remain, make sure you are not being held by fear, guilt, or the belief that you must save them. Let peace, truth, and dignity guide you together. If you are called to remain beside them, do so with a steady heart rather than through self-destruction. If you are led to step back, do so without cursing, retaliating, or closing your heart to everyone else. Your role is not to determine the ending of their story, but to remain faithful to the portion of light I have placed in your hands. When you learn to love without losing yourself, support without controlling, and persevere while preserving boundaries, you will become living evidence that compassion and wisdom can exist together within one heart. You feel as though your life is experiencing an invisible malfunction, because the more you try to follow the familiar road, the more an unseen hand seems to prevent you from continuing down a path that does not belong to you. Many times, you have wondered why others can move forward through ordinary methods, while everything in your life begins to shake as soon as you start building. Why a door closes the moment you reach it, or why a wall suddenly appears when you believe you have finally found your direction. I know this has confused you. At times, you believed you were unlucky. At other times, you questioned your own ability. And there were even moments when you thought life itself was deliberately resisting every good desire within you. But I want you to become calm and look more deeply. Not every delay is punishment, and not every blocked road is evidence of failure. Some paths must close because they would lead you into a version of yourself smaller than the person you were created to become. Some structures must collapse because their foundations are not strong enough to support what is being prepared for you. Before you entered this world, you were never a random idea, created without intention. I knew you with profound understanding and saw the qualities, abilities, challenges, and journey of growth through which you would pass. You were set apart, not to become greater than others, but to be used for a purpose that cannot be replaced by a copy of anyone else. When an object is reserved for a special task, it is no longer used carelessly, like ordinary things. In the same way, you cannot continue living according to the expectations of the crowd and then wonder why your heart feels empty. You cannot enter every door simply because it opens, nor can you accept every opportunity merely because others call it success. Some things may be good for another person, but wrong for your journey. Some choices may be praised by society while gradually silencing the calling within you. Being removed from certain paths is not rejection. It is protection from a life that does not carry the true mark placed within you. Therefore, methods that brought results to others may not operate in exactly the same way in your life. You are not a mass-produced object designed to follow the same formula, repeat the same journey, and receive the same result. You are a work of art shaped with distinctive lines. This does not mean you have no need to learn, listen, or receive advice. It means you must possess discernment to know what should be learned and what should not be copied. I may use another person's experience as a lamp of reference, but you must still walk the road opened specifically for you. When you force your life into a mold that does not fit, cracks begin to appear. The stagnation you feel may be a warning that you are trying to become the person the world wants to see rather than the person you are truly called to become. I know this is not easy, because a personal path is often lonelier than a crowded one. When there are few footprints ahead of you, you must move more slowly. Examine the ground more carefully, and learn to trust before seeing the entire map. You may be misunderstood because you do not choose what the majority chooses. Others may call you overly cautious when you reject a dazzling opportunity, or consider you unsuccessful when you must begin again from the beginning. But beloved, I do not measure your progress by how quickly others are running. I look at the integrity of your steps, the maturity of your heart, and the way you preserve light during seasons without answers. Some people move very quickly in the wrong direction. Others appear to be standing still while they are being prepared within to carry a responsibility that haste could never support. The unusual resistance you have encountered is not proof that you are cursed. Often, it appears because you are moving first into something that has no precedent within your family, community, or area of responsibility. You may be the first to break an old cycle, the first to build a healthy kind of relationship, the first to choose honesty instead of compromise, or the first to pursue a mission previous generations never had the opportunity to reach. A pioneer always faces thorns that those who follow will no longer encounter. They must place the first stones, endure doubt, and learn through mistakes for which no predecessor was available to warn them. This is why your journey has sometimes felt heavier than you expected. It is not because I forgot you, but because you are being refined to become a new marker along the road. Imagine a prototype created to carry the technology of the future. It is not simply placed inside a beautiful room so people can admire its outward appearance. It is taken into harsh conditions and exposed to heat, pressure, powerful winds, and calculated impacts. This is not because its creators hate it, but because they need to discover what it can endure, which areas require reinforcement, and which systems must be adjusted before it receives a greater assignment. You, too, have been brought through environments that revealed your limitations. Pressure did not create every weakness within you. It merely exposed what was already hidden so that it could be healed and strengthened. When you discover that you are easily angered, easily frightened, overly dependent upon approval, or tempted to give up, do not immediately despise yourself. Consider it valuable information for the process of growth. What is revealed is not meant to shame you, but to keep you from carrying an untreated crack into a greater season. However, you must be careful not to romanticize every form of pain. Not every destructive experience is a sacred test, and you are not required to remain forever in places that are destroying you. Refinement always leads toward growth, discernment, and freedom, while abuse produces fear, exhaustion, and confusion. I have not called you to prove your strength through endless endurance. When an environment continually damages your dignity, threatens your safety, or pulls you away from upright values, you must seek help, establish boundaries, and leave when necessary. A prototype is tested under purposeful conditions and proper supervision. It is not abandoned to break meaninglessly. Therefore, ask for wisdom to distinguish between the place that is refining you and the place that is merely exploiting your endurance. The new work I am forming in your life will not simply be a polished version of the past. It may require you to abandon patterns that once gave you a sense of safety, but no longer fit the person you are becoming. You may need to learn a skill you have never studied. Change the way you manage money. Adjust the rhythm of your life. Leave a dependent relationship, or begin work that requires you to mature every day. New things rarely appear perfect at the beginning. They may look small, fragile, and easy to dismiss. Like a young shoot, no one believes will one day provide shade. Do not despise quiet beginnings. An idea written down in the night, an unexpected meeting, a small decision made courageously, or a new habit practiced each day may become the first sign of something that has never existed before. You do not need to understand the entire plan before taking the next step. What you need is to stop resisting the process that is making you stronger. When a door closes, ask, what may be being protected? When a plan collapses, examine its foundation instead of mourning only the outward form. When delay appears, use the time to prepare what you once neglected. I may be teaching you how to lead before giving you a team, how to manage before increasing your resources, or how to heal old wounds before entering a new relationship. You often pray for a great door, but I also see the areas within you that need reinforcement so that when it opens, you do not lose your peace, humility, or sense of self. Therefore, beloved, do not call yourself broken simply because your life does not operate according to a common process. Perhaps that very difference is evidence that you are being led toward work that requires a new approach. Do not use another person's measure to conclude that you are delayed. The years that seemed winding may be producing a depth that a straight road could never provide. The collisions you endured did not destroy you. They taught you to recognize limitations, strengthen character, and distinguish truth from falsehood. Continue with humility, because being set apart is not permission to become arrogant, but an invitation to live with greater responsibility. You have been given a unique mark so that you may serve, heal, open a path, and bring hope to places where others do not know how to begin. At the proper time, you will understand that the invisible walls that once confused you were not built to imprison you, but to redirect you toward an unexplored path where something new is waiting to be born through your obedience, perseverance, and maturity. Beloved, pause and recognize that this moment is opening many new possibilities before you. Because the old season no longer has the authority to hold you inside the limitations that once exhausted you. The years when you struggled under financial pressure, the relationships that left emptiness behind, and the seasons when you walked without knowing where you were going are not judgments against your future. They were stages of refinement where perseverance was formed, discernment was awakened, and your faith became steadier. You once viewed those hardships as evidence that you had been forgotten, but you will eventually understand that during the days when there seemed to be no way forward, I was quietly preparing you for a greater door. The clock of the old way of living is reaching its end, the time when fear decided your choices, scarcity defined your worth, and other people's rejection caused you to doubt yourself is gradually coming to a close. Yet, although new doors have begun to open, you must still choose to walk through them. Because I can illuminate the road, but I will not force your feet to move. You have carried invisible cords for too long. Some were formed from memories of failure, some from the judgments of others, and others from the belief that you had to please everyone in order to be loved. But now those things are losing their authority. You are no longer the person who can be pulled backward by one critical word, nor must you continue proving your value by exhausting yourself for people who never learned to appreciate you. Those chains do not break only because outward circumstances change, but because a new understanding is rising within you. You are permitted to say no to what drains you, permitted to leave places where peace no longer exists, and permitted to begin again without apologizing for choosing a healthier life. When your heart changes, doors that once seemed immovable begin to lose their power. because what kept you imprisoned was not only your circumstances, but also the belief that you could never leave them. Remember the man who built a great vessel while the sky was still clear. The people around him looked at his work and considered it foolish because they trusted only what their eyes could see. They could not understand why anyone would devote so much time to something for which no visible sign had yet appeared. But he did not build according to the laughter of the crowd. He followed the instruction placed within his heart. Every plank joined together was not only part of the vessel, but an act of faith. Every day he continued working beneath ridicule, proved that obedience was more valuable than human approval. When the event finally came, what had once been called foolish became the place that preserved him and his family. You are going through a similar process. You may not yet see the rain, the result, or the approval of those around you. But that does not mean your preparation is useless. Your vessel is being built through ordinary choices made each day. When you save instead of spending merely to fill an emotional emptiness, you are laying down another plank. When you learn a new skill before anyone offers you an opportunity, you are reinforcing the foundation. When you refuse to return to a toxic connection simply because you feel lonely, you are sealing an opening through which water could enter. When you keep your word, work honestly, and patiently cultivate what is good, even when no one notices, you are completing the means that will carry you through a season of change. Do not underestimate those small actions. The future is not created only by one dramatic decision, but by hundreds of quiet choices no one sees. The world may not understand why you change your habits, establish boundaries, or continue pursuing something that has not yet produced results. But you do not need everyone's agreement in order to remain faithful to what is right. I want you to prepare, but not through panic. True preparation always walks with peace, responsibility, and discernment. You do not need to rush after every opportunity because you fear missing out. Neither do you need to believe every dazzling promise placed before you. The plan intended for you will not lead you to betray good values, harm others, or exchange your dignity for success. What I lead you into may require courage, but it will not cultivate greed or confusion. Therefore, before each choice, become still and examine what that path produces within you. If it causes you to become more sincere, responsible, generous, and peaceful, it may be a direction worth considering. But if it continually pressures you to live dishonestly, hastily, and fearfully, know when to stop. No matter how attractive it appears, throughout your journey, voices of doubt have repeatedly tried to stop you from moving forward. They remind you of mistakes, magnify every danger, and persuade you that one failure means you will always fail. At times, they have used difficult circumstances to convince you that I have abandoned you. Yet look back, after everything, you are still here. You survived days that seemed impossible, endured separations that once shattered your heart, and rose from places you believed you would never escape. If you were truly as weak as those lies declared, you could not have reached this day. Your presence in this moment is evidence that what tried to break you did not succeed. You were tested, but not erased, shaken, but not swept away from the road prepared for you. Every confrontation left within you a lesson that an easy life could never have given. Financial pressure taught you how to manage, distinguish needs from desires, and appreciate even small resources. Broken relationships helped you understand that love cannot survive without respect, honesty, and boundaries. Seasons of confusion taught you that moving quickly does not always mean moving in the right direction. What once caused pain became a fire that refined your maturity. But I do not want you to live inside the fire forever. A season of refinement has meaning only when you eventually step out of it, carrying strength without continuing to carry the smoke of bitterness. You are not called to speak forever about what wounded you, but to reveal how a person can be healed, become wiser, and still preserve a tender heart after everything. Therefore, stop calling every backward step a failure. There are moments when you must step back in order to see the whole picture. Just as a craftsman must move away from a structure to recognize where it has departed from the design. Some plans are delayed so that you do not enter while the foundation remains weak. Some people leave because they belonged only to the former part of the journey and cannot accompany you into a new responsibility. What you considered resistance may actually have been redirection. What you called loss may have been a hand releasing you from a burden that never belonged to you. When you look back with maturity, you will understand that many closed doors saved you from spending more years in places where your light was gradually fading. Not every ending comes as punishment. Some endings are permitted so that space can open for a healthier beginning. The plans of darkness cannot defeat a good purpose unless you surrender your authority to them. Yet, your victory is not found in fighting every person who opposes you or answering every insult. True strength is revealed when you refuse to let evil make you bitter. Betrayal, destroy your ability to love, or injustice push you into dishonesty. Some weapons do not appear as great disasters, but as self-contempt, resentment, and the habit of delay. They quietly cause you to abandon yourself before any door has opened. Therefore, I am helping you break them from within. When you choose forgiveness while preserving boundaries, choose rest instead of punishing yourself, and continue doing what is right before seeing results. The plans that wanted to keep you in darkness begin to collapse piece by piece. The new season you are entering is not a life without challenges, but a new way of living in the middle of them. In the past, one rejection could cause you to question your entire worth. Now, you will recognize it as a signal to adjust your direction. In the past, one disruption could make you believe everything had ended. Now, you understand that the ending of one chapter is not the ending of the whole story. You will no longer live only to survive, but will begin to build with the wisdom formed through difficult years. Your peace will no longer depend entirely upon the amount of money you possess, the presence of one person, or the praise of the crowd. It will rest upon the understanding that you are being guided, that faithful steps are never meaningless, and that something good can still be born from a past filled with winding roads.